Alright, I love Andrew Whitworth. I think he was a great player for the Bengals. He was also a great right tackle for the Rams. But I don't know if I agree with his take on Joe Burrow's injury. I'll be honest with you, this is one of those situations where, again, hindsight 2020, you look at it after the fact and you're like, oh yeah, well, now things might look different, but I don't agree with the overall premise of it. So here's what he had to say about Joe Burrow's injury. He said, I think in some ways it could be really good for your football team. Because new guys are going to have to step up, Whitworth said. You're going to have this resolved that Joe's not there. But we're going to play in a certain way that represents that style that he would be leading us through. You're going to have to have somebody on that offensive side of the ball that takes the reins for that. Now, I'll be honest with you. Let's break that down. So what he's saying in context, like in actual substance, is not wrong. What he's saying pretty much is, this is almost a good thing for the team because at the end of the day, Joe might not play every single game of every single season, right? Joe might go down one day in the playoffs. Joe might not be able to play a particular game that's really meaningful and important, right? That's what he's kind of saying. And that they need to see someone else but Joe step up on this offense and really become that superstar for this team and can lead this team to a new place. And while, yes, I agree with the fact that we're going to have to see people step up, I disagree with the take of this is a good thing. Listen, if Joe was out for one game, maybe two, maybe three, I could understand the take a little bit more. Because then you're looking at the aspect of, well, now you're not going to have Joe for a couple weeks. You'll still be fine for the season because Joe will come back. But now you get to kind of see a little bit of a glimpse of what it's like without Joe and, what you can and can't do without Joe Burrow. The problem is, Joe's out for the season. And that's really the problem with this. And not only is he going to be out for the season, now, you have a backup quarterback who's coming in. This is potentially T. Higgins' last year. I think they end up franchise tagging T. Higgins, to be honest. But even then, you don't know how much longer T. Higgins has, how much longer Tyler Boyd has. The defense is going to lose some key pieces this offseason. So there's a good amount of players who potentially could leave this team. This is your last chance to have the whole band together to go win a Super Bowl. I don't know if I agree with this take in the context of, he's out for the season. If it's just he's out for a couple games, I could understand this take. Because then you're like, okay, well, it's a hidden blessing in a way. Because now you get to see, without really ruining your season, where things are going to be headed. Now, I will say in the context of, you're going to lose some players. So you really need to start evaluating some of your other players like Chuck Sizzle, Yoshi, etc. that you might not be evaluating as much because, you are in a Super Bowl run with Joe Burrow. I understand from that point of view, where it's like, okay, well, yes, now you can evaluate some of these guys that you might not have evaluated too much because of the aspect of, you're on a Super Bowl run. And I get it in the long scheme of things, like if you're looking at, well, for the future, this is, going to be positive in the aspect of, next season, year after that. Some of these guys on your roster are going to be your future, right? Yoshi's going to potentially be your future. Chuck Sizzle is your future. Other than that, though, there's not many players on offense that are going to be our future who are currently on the roster. Chase Brown, maybe. But, for example, the tight end situation, we have a one-year hit with Irv Smith. Okay, he's gone after this year, so he's not, the future. Tanner Hudson is 29, 30 years old. He's not the future. Neither is Mitchell Wilcox. Neither is Drew Sample. And the offensive line, Orlando Brown, he's not, technically speaking, the future. We have him on a contract, but he's not the future. And it's not like he's a rookie guy. Volson, hopefully we move on from. He's not the future. Teddy K, yeah, he'll be fine. Kappa, maybe he's not the future with how he's playing this year. And Jonah, clearly, there's a potential we don't even get him back. So there isn't really much we can evaluate out on this team outside of, maybe a couple rookies that really would make this injury to a point where you're like, okay, now you can evaluate and see what could happen. And to the aspect, I'm going to attack this at two angles here. The second angle I'll say is the aspect of, well, now you're just going to have to see players step up. Again, like I said, yes, while players could step up, it's like, well, yes, you could see, like, well, now other receivers need to step up. Like, Tyler Boyd needs to start taking, like, really doing good. Or, Yoshi or Trent Irwin or etc. And I agree with that. These guys need to step up outside of just Joe being the leader of the team. But that's why he's a franchise quarterback. That's why you paid him $277 million for him to be that superstar X factor in your team, right? You paid him all that money so he would do that. That's why, you don't see these other receivers getting paid that money where they're getting paid $277 million. So I don't know if I agree with this take. And again, I'm trying to look at this take at different aspects. I know it's kind of all over the place, this video so far, but I'm trying to look at it in every way possible, and it just doesn't really work out too much when it comes to this. It's like, at the end of the day, if you had a viable backup quarterback, and I'm not saying Jake Browning's not viable, I want to stress enough. I think Jake Browning is perfectly okay. But let's say you had a rookie quarterback behind Joe, right? You had someone who was young, and, really, honestly, you could see how he does and then potentially trade him, right? Potentially trade him away if it doesn't work out. That type of scenario, maybe. But if with the situation we have currently, we have a receiving core who, other than Yoshi and Chuck Sizzle, are all, kind of older guys, right? Some of them won't be on the team for much longer. Some of them will be. Our tight end group is completely, just nothingness. And then you look at the offensive line, they're kind of like in limbo. Running back core, Joe Mixon's only going to get older. Same thing with, Chase Brown is going to be nice, but then other running backs are going to be going. I'll say pass rushers, Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, they're getting older. DJ Reader, obviously, potentially could leave us. BJ Hill, same concept. Like, there's so many that if you had, like, a very young squad that you're kind of, like, enhancing or getting better or seeing what you could do, then maybe I agree with this take a little bit more. But in the aspect of what I think he's going with this take, and again, that's why I'm trying to look at many different angles, because I don't want to put words in his mouth here, I just don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I know he's, again, like I said, I think the take he's trying to go with is, at the end of the day, you're going to have to do something if Joe can't play, right? And if Joe goes down with one game with injury. But the problem is he's down for the whole season. And the guys that we would be, theoretically speaking, creating this problem or dilemma with aren't going to be here in the future if Joe goes down again. So, I don't know. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you guys next one. Peace.